go ahead and start the meeting. Pledge to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Start with roll call.
President Pam Doobie.
Here.
Robert Rodriguez, Vice President, is absent. Council members, John Collard.
Here.
Alex Croswell.
Here.
Rich Young.
Here.
Fire Chief Gary Bendix is absent. Police Chief Don Sokowski.
Here.
Park Board President Alan Miller. Here. BZA President Matt Bowen is absent. Building Commissioner Steve Thomas.
Here.
Westminster Diana Dumbriz. Present. Attorney Gunning, a couple minutes away, and then myself.
Okay. You good? Has everybody had a chance to look over the council meetings? Minutes from
May 14th.
May 14th? Yeah. Did you have a chance to look at it?
I make a motion to council meeting minutes of March of May 14th, 2009.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
I do have a correction on the agenda. On the back, where it says next Michiana Shores, the Plan Commission should say July 2nd.
Yeah, it should.
And probably the Park Booster. No, that is correct. That's coming up.
Get better when we found some more thing on.
Okay, we'll start out with the clerk treasurer's report.
First, we have to sign this. Oh, thank Michiana Shores Volunteer Fire Department for fire protection, $3,386.33. Michiana Shores Volunteer Fire Department for rent, $105. Town of Long Beach for police protection, $4,597. Republic Services for the June refuse collection, $3,667.20. Dual repair for front-end damage to the New Holland tractor, $584.43. Dual repair, remove salt from spreader, pressure wash, deep clean, rust proof, and bunch of other things on the 1998 Ford truck. $311. U.S. Postal Service for 2 rolls of postage stamps, $110. Access to Clark County for the third quarter videotaping, $500. The grounds guy for spring cleanup in both parks, $250. The grounds guys park and other mowing, both parks 5 times, $500. The grounds guy for grounds maintenance in both parks to fertilize, $120. Jeffrey Gunning, legal services for the RE Riga case from August 17th, 2017 to 12/31/18, $4,038.50. Department of Waterworks, water for the garage, $9.89. Department of Waterworks, water for Kincaid Park, $9.89. Brenda Heckman for travel to the bank and post office, $52.78. Office Depot for a keyboard tray, monitor stand, binders, pens, and several other miscellaneous office supplies, $119.15. Comcast for internet for June, $86.90. White's Flowers, Memorial Flowers for Warren Newsom, $90. Baker Tyler Municipal Advisors, again, that's Humboldt. Preparation of the pre-budget worksheet, $185, for a grand total of $18,723.07.
What happened to Warren?
Yesterday,
You did?
yes.
What?
Last, no, it's gonna
A week
be
ago.
about a week ago.
I never heard nothing about it.
I
move we approve the-
Everybody that just wanted to.
Wait a minute. Bob, what front end damage on our tractor? What is that?
When we removed the tree, April 25th on the Brook side, part of the tree come apart and smashed into the hood of the tractor. We couldn't get the latch open.
Okay,
Bob, do you want to give the, oh, okay.
well, again, move to approve the treasurer's.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Bob, do you want to give us the report for the kids?
We're not through.
Oh, we're not?
Ken is finished, we need to sign those.
Okay.
And we have the June additional claims. I'm sorry, many additional claims. There's a mistake we didn't catch, Rich.
Huh?
There's a mistake we didn't catch.
What was that?
Since we did the June claims, not the June additional, we're gonna be doing the May additional claims. Okay. Final things to do. Indiana Department of Revenue, the local taxes, $116.78. Payroll for Medicare, which is the Internal Revenue Service, $188.69. That is for the employee share. Internal Revenue Service, federal FICA, withheld, $806.88. Internal Revenue Service for the employer FICA, $806.80. Internal Revenue Service for the payroll taxes withheld, $268.88. And the employer Medicaid payroll, $188.69 for a total of $2,806.79.
I make a motion that we approve payroll. That's
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We did.
I only heard you.
I said all in favor, you all said.
I didn't hear. You guys speak up louder than that.
Okay.
Okay, so 4 ayes. Get back with me on the one for the June claims. Who made the motion? Who seconded it?
John made the motion and Alex seconded it.
Thank you. Now you can move on, right? Okay, yeah.
Okay, sign in.
Who signed this one? Here's another one, Joe.
Thanks.
Is that it? Did you get them all?
That's it.
Now we can do this. Bob, you want to give us the police report?
For the month of May 2019, we had 189 dispatch calls with 44 walk-ins. We drove 4,379.4 miles. Hours worked was 811. 27 of that was for overtime, 23 hours for training, and 4 hours for case investigation. Part-timers worked 40 hours, and reserves worked 38. There was 9 traffic stops, Michiana Shores, 5 citations, 3 written warnings. 4 verbal warnings. 1 misdemeanor arrest, 1 over-the-eye arrest. 2 ordinance violations were checked, 2 alarms this month. On the report side, there was 1 fraud investigation, and that's been turned over to the prosecutor's office.
Thank you. Are you going to give the fire chief's report?
Yep. For the month of May, there was 321.30 hours were spent during the month. Meetings at home and at the station. 5-1 was the pancake cleanup. The 5th was the pancake breakfast. 8th was a business meeting. 15th was a training meeting. 22nd was a general meeting, as was the 29th. Calls for service for the month on the 3rd, medical call on Twilight. The 7th, alarm call on Sunset. The 10th, medical call on Brookside. The 18th, alarm on Dune Ridge in Michigan. 26th, medical call, Lakeshore Drive, Michigan. 27th, the medical call, Pontchartrain. 27th is alarm call on Michiana Drive. 27th, we have power lines down on Hiawatha. 30th, alarm on Pocantico in Michigan. Also on the 30th is good intent call on Pontchartrain. Also on the 30th is a medical call on Alport.
Thank you.
So there's 2 fire calls, 2 first responders in Michiana Shores, Michiana, Michigan, and Fulmer. There was 2 first responders, and there was 1 mutual aid first responder. And he's got a note in here to thank everyone for the successful pancake breakfast. The reason Gary's not here tonight is he is at the Dune Beach Council meeting. I believe he will be providing fire and first responder service to Dune Beach here shortly.
Oh, that's nice. Thanks. Steve, do you have a report for this?
Yeah, in the month of May, we had log siding was replaced at 21 Powhatan. At 331 Oakland, there was a fence that was installed, and also at 222 El Portal, there was a fence. And that's all I have for now.
Okay. Thank you.
Nothing on coffee?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
I think Joan, did he send that to you? That paper you showed me yesterday?
He ordered them.
Okay. But as of right now, there's still really nothing with him in the
I don't
DNR.
have anything else. He won't have anything till he gets the DNR
Right.
report.
He still wants to build on that site on the corner of
Yes,
Powhatan and Shadow.
he has drawings and everything. He's ready to go all week if they okay.
Okay. Thank you. Dolly, do you have anything to report on parks and recreation?
We had volunteers, Stephen had volunteered, he hasn't charged for anything but material. And yesterday he was out in the park, the tennis court, and Michiana called me. I didn't see him because I'm in the back of the house. And she said, he's painting yellow lines. I said, no, he's not painting yellow lines. Those were there. He was filling all the little cracks in there, so nobody would pick up on the fence. It's in bad condition, I guess.
It doesn't last long.
Also, it's very good. I think that's all.
Who did you say?
Steve Fetzer, is that his name? Steve Fetzer.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the ones that are putting it in for the pickleball.
Okay, I couldn't see that.
Go ahead and walk in front of her. So big deal.
They've been very nice and just no labor charges for anything we've done. And they did give us a job and we're waiting for our, well, that big plant, big planter to put on top of, we're gonna have flowers on the top.
Who's gonna block it?
I was my first one.
Some of the vitamins that they
Oh, they did? Oh, that's good. I mean, that's quite a ways up there.
well, they said they water sometimes, and so they would be glad. I think Chris is here.
Okay, now we want to hear from the road commissioner.
Total hours for May was 8 hours, and most of that was for tree removal from the roadway. And give everybody the tree report with the map showing the trees that we feel are in need of attention. There's 15 of them on here. As we discussed at the workshop, we list 15 and see how many of the 15 we did this year with the money we got. So if you know somebody that wants to put a quote in for this work, have them contact me or give them this map, and all the trees are marked with yellow tape and they're numbered so they can correspond their quote with the actual number and the address that's on the report.
Have you requested any bids? So you haven't gotten any bids?
Thanks, Bob.
What about the community crossing there?
The work in progress. A meeting with the contractor on Friday to discuss whether we're gonna need to remove the stump on Pinewood before we can widen the road.
Was that the one that was taken down by the water department?
Yes, it is very large.
I have a question, Bob, at the plan meeting. Well, let me ask you this. I know we have roads, are we waiting till you get that grant?
Excuse me?
The roads that we were gonna have paved, are we waiting for that grant and get it all together?
She's received some money, and according to the paperwork, some of the finalized paperwork that I need to turn in has to have the actual invoice attached with the submittal to the grant, so I'm assuming that they will send it shortly thereafter.
Well, at our plan meeting, it was brought up under commissioner comments that Reef and Riley was cited by the Port County for poor quality road work. Do you know anything about that?
That was through the state that did that, it wasn't the county.
I know Reef Riley's one who often use and they quote some.
Is that the one you're working with?
Yes.
So, what did the state, they cited them?
There's some kind of fine evidently that they're gonna have to pay. I guess the people have been terminated. I don't.
So they've corrected the problem.
Right. The grant has already been all submitted there, but we could have changed the vendor now anyway, so.
Thanks.
Chief, do we have private property stored in the town garage?
Rich and I discussed that earlier this evening. We'll be out this weekend.
Thanks, Bob. Rich, do you have anything to report from the planning commission?
Yeah, there were 6 members there last week, one was out of town. Our first order of business is always to listen to requests for pre-approval for permits. Christopher Willoughby came to talk to us, to feel out what the process was. His client wants to build on, I think it's Parkside and Ponce Train, right in that area. It's like on a hillside, and it's a non-conforming lot for our rules. So I think he did mention this time he's talked to you about it.
No, there were exchanges of messages, and the messages were a request by me to have Mr. Willoughby put things into writing with a short description, and I never received it.
Okay. Well, I believe the lot is only 75 feet, and our town requires 80 feet of frontage. Was that right, Rick?
Mm-hmm.
And in the back, I believe it's only 60 wide, but it's, I don't know, very, very deep lot, 300, I think, and some feet. So it had way more square footage than we required. But basically, we told him that he would have to submit his plans, and then the planning commission would refer it to the BZA. So he was mostly looking for information. Let me see. Now, he did try to say, I should mention this, that his client had a right to build because it was, he purchased, I believe, the property in 2001, and he said that the new ordinance is 2009, but we said that the previous ordinance before that still required 80 feet. So he was trying to imply that he was grandfathered in. So I don't know if there's going to be a problem or what.
How would it go to the BZA then?
if he were right, then he would be grandfathered in, but I don't believe he's right. So if they purchased a lot when we already had the rules, those rules apply.
Yeah, my sense is he's probably not right on that. Particularly, he's referring to the 2009 code, because I think that was really a recodification.
Right, it was recovered.
So, brought things forward.
Okay. I brought up an issue since at our last meeting here. You said that we need to discuss, and I guess the sign ordinance violations, we need to take them and compare them to the new ordinance. And I reported, I went around town, I think the day before, and I found 6 violations. And one of them, well, let me rephrase. 5 of the 6, well, all 6 had the signs in the right of way, the town right of way. Now, the house up the road here down Porter also had a sign back by the garage, but they had a building sign in the front. So that led to a discussion, which has happened many times here, about an enforcement officer. So it was voted on, let me read it the way it was. Howard Juwan moved that the sign ordinance and all other ordinances referring to building and zoning be enforced by the town building commissioner. This will mean that his contract will need to be amended and that his compensation be increased to reflect the additional work. So that was voted on. And then we more or less discussed that more and didn't say much more about the sign ordinance. One of the signs is on property, Brookside? No, not Brookside. Birchwood. And it's a sign about redistricting. It's reconsider redistricting or something. Anyone who's driven between the 2 parts could see it on the right. It's the house that has a garage that has no door on one of its garage space. So that one I think could be a question, but it's still in the park. But like I said, we went into a discussion of enforcement. I think Steve was willing to do the enforcing, but I think it would require him to be in town a little bit more often.
I have a question. We're giving him something that's already been in the code to be enforced, enforcement officer, and you're going to be giving him more wages. You never give us any more when we get things filed on for treasurer's office.
This is what
That's not very fair.
You've been given raises.
No, I haven't.
Yes, you have. You got a $1,000 raise the first year I was on, 2016. You got a $2,000 raise the second year I was on.
No, I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong. We've gotten nothing for all the building permit things we've
You've
been.
been adding on all over the place. Don't do this. Let's not do this. You got raises. You got raises. And you asked and I approved. I agreed. And I brought it to the council's attention and it was voted on and you got the raises. And Brenda's got raises.
Brenda's gotten it because I have asked for more for her.
See what would be an acceptable amount for you to assume this job.
I think that needs to be discussed out of this office.
It was already discussed at the planning commission.
On that rich trash.
town council still has to vote,
Yes.
so we have a right to discuss it. Okay, Mr. Dunning, we also had a couple questions. Obviously, signs are not supposed to be in the town right away, correct?
Correct.
What about signs that are placed inside the home but visible to those on the street?
I think those are exempt under the ordinance.
I think so too.
There's a provision that speaks to that type of signage specifically, and I think that that's exempt.
So if somebody displays a sign on their window inside the house, you're saying it's exempt?
Correct.
Any kind of sign?
Yes, because again, remember the new Supreme Court ruling is that you cannot determine the validity of the sign based on its content.
I just want a clarification here. I'm tired of hearing about it too. So you're just arguing that they can't be in the public right away?
No, they cannot be in the public right away.
That's the only restriction then.
That's not a new restriction. That's about the only one that's consistent.
That's what I mean.
That's the old to the new, correct. So what
that,
I previously had said was because of the new ruling, if there's any signs that are believed to be in violation of the ordinance under the old ordinance and now under the new one, those should be run through the chief of police. And my request was that he run anything through me so that we can do, case-by-case examination before we issue a citation. Once we adopt the new ordinance, then that prohibition or request was lifted, and you can go forward with violation in investigation, so to speak. The ordinance that is in place now specifies that the chief of police and the building commissioner are the enforcement officers for that. Our relationship with the chief of police is that he's also our road commissioner, and so therefore he has the ability to pursue those signs that are in the right of way as the road commissioner and the chief of police. So if you can identify those for him, he can undertake either notification with a request for removal by the owner or issuance of a citation for ordinance violation.
Can I just pick up your sign?
I don't recall if you're allowed to do that under the new ordinance or not. Can I ask a question? I believe so. No. The language is the same as the prior ordinance in this section. The town marshal, road commissioner, street department employee, or police officer will have the authority to request the removal of a sign in violation of this chapter by the sign owner. Removal of a violating sign from private property is the responsibility of the property owner and/or his agent. Road commissioners to remove violating signs from other locations. So if you have land that you're not able to identify the property owner, you can remove it from that location. But that is the difference, I think, under this ordinance versus the old one. You have to make the request that they issue it initially. If they don't remove it voluntarily, then you can write a citation.
Okay, so the citation would go to the sign owner, not the homeowner.
Well, it has dual language. It says you may request the removal of a sign by the sign's owner, but removal of violating signs from private property is the responsibility of the property owner and/or his agent.
Private property.
Correct.
But the town right of way doesn't say that.
Yeah, you're right. Then you you could remove it from that location. That would be the other location. So you are right on that.
Rich, just give me the list, we'll just go.
And 2 of them are building signs, 2 of them are service sign, painting company, new to our area. And the one I mentioned, I forget the
There's new ones on El Portal and one on Groveland, Mr. Fowler's old house. The woman's advertising painting parties, she's advertising business.
So those are commercial business signs?
Yeah, they go around in the right of way?
Yeah,
The one on El Portal is almost in the street.
and the other one's in her yard on Groveland, on the street.
That which is, you know, almost in the street, that you can remove.
Well, now that I'm mowing the side of the road with a mower, I just.
Without a question. Well, and I will note, because this comes up, but it always comes up after the fact. Only those people designated in the ordinance that are allowed to remove signs can remove those signs. Anyone else who doesn't, if a good citizen thinks they're doing a service for the community, they can be charged with theft of that particular sign.
We had that issue.
If someone removes a sign thinking they're doing a great thing and they lose it or destroy it, they can be charged with theft and destruction of the sign. So they can have a big problem there. And I know that decades ago, it was sort of the trend that anyone would stop and pick up a sign and remove it in the smaller cities and towns. And there is a case that makes it real clear. It happened to involve political campaign signs, but one incumbent town council member removed the signs of his opponent. They were clearly in the right of way, so they were illegal signs. However, he was not an authorized representative of the municipality under the ordinance to remove the sign. Therefore, because of the political party difference in who's the county prosecutor and so on and so forth, he was charged with and prosecuted for a violation of that law in Indiana. And that repeated itself on a county commissioner race, although I don't know if the individual was prosecuted, but it was quite a scandal in Fort County.
These new commercial signs, the Groveland, now if this person wants to put it in the window of their house, they can do that.
They could do that, yeah.
Okay, I just want clarification here.
Right.
We need to clear this up.
What about the sign that I told you is between the parks on Birchwood that says reform redistricting? Is that considered a political sign? Or you need to talk to
Is it in or not in the right of way?
Well, that's in the right. I believe it's within 10 feet of the street. All of them except the one laying by the garage.
If that sign is within the right of way, then it can be removed under the procedure just discussed. If it is not, it may qualify. I'm still not familiar with the new categories. There's temporary signs and there's permanent signs.
This one's been there a long time.
Do you know what the redistricting is?
It's for the Michigan City School Board, I believe.
Well, we have decided that our board members would be adjusted. We've done away with the boards.
No, they're talking about the school board in Michigan City. We
So
are.
is that something that was subject to a vote at a defined time by the school board or?
Yeah, not us.
Right, but that's important because we have
No matter
categories
what, it's over.
of signs. If it's a public event occurring on the premises, if it's a private event occurring on the premises, those are to the premises. If it's an election-related sign, each of those categories have an allowance for the time factor. See, the the sign laws based on court decisions are just all over the place because you can't touch signs if they're pure speech. So the old court decisions used a category of content. That law still exists, but in a later line of cases, the High Court said, the United States Supreme Court said that communities have the right to have their jurisdictions free and clear of clutter. So if you're in a wooded community like we are, you shouldn't have all these signs that don't fit in to the environment. If you're in a residential area that borders on a commercial area, you should be free of the commercial signs in that residential area, even if it's a border area into the next. So this hodgepodge of old cases that were not affected by the new decision still gives certain leeway. So a sign related to, now we have language, a primary, general, or special election. If redistricting for schools is something that will result in a ballot question at some future time, I don't know the answer to that, then it may qualify under this section, which means that it can only be posted a maximum of 7 signs 30 days before the event and up to 5 days after the event. So a reasonable interpretation, and this would be up to the chief of police or the building commissioner, would be to say that if that sign, because of its content referring to redistricting, fits into an event related to an election, then we can impose that particular parameter on there.
It's been there for months and months and months. You know where it's at, Bob?
So it may, if it's not in one of these categories, it may get to remain. We may, nothing prohibits us from amending the new sign ordinance and adding provisions. So we may want to enlarge that and tack it to, put some provision of signs related to public body decision making. And then that would give us the allowance under that provision. Otherwise, they might be able to have it linger there.
All right, another question. If there are a lot of evidence, signs in their windows in their homes or their garage, that's one. Are we talking, what if they decide to have 5 or 6? There's been incidents here, building incidents, where there's every contract they're working on has got a sign slammed in the yard. They put that in the house windows and that's illegal?
Repeat the question again. For every
subcontractor.
Oh, contractor signs.
I just want an answer here so I know whether to argue the case or not. You see my point?
Yeah, I think a reasonable interpretation of the section regarding a private event sign occurring on the premises would allow them to post it 7 days before the construction, and they have to have it removed 2 days after the construction. I'm trying to apply our new rules to the situation.
What? I'm trying to understand.
If we don't have a provision for those, then we may have to add something.
You see my point though?
So that we can enforce it.
You have 6, 7, 8 signs in your house windows.
Well, if it's in the window, that's exempt.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. Is that's fair? It's legal?
Right.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
All right.
Since we're talking about signs, what about people who park their trucks and they've got their advertising right on their door in the front? We've got one on Oakdale and Groveland. They've been sitting there for 2 weeks now.
No, it's been about a week.
No, it's been 2.
It's across the street from my house, John, I know when it's there.
Also, did somebody else who's been coming to my house that has noticed it for 2 weeks. We discussed that, so
Well, whatever
I'm not
it is.
gonna argue with you
It's
over
sitting
it.
there, yes.
Yes, it's sitting there, and it also has advertising on it. Is that legal? We don't know how long it's sitting there. There does not seem to be any work being done.
At this point in time, that would probably have to be an interpretation of the building commissioner. I don't think the new ordinance has any provision for wheeled signage. I don't think we have any definition. There are some communities that do expressly prohibit that type of thing. Most recognize that the vehicles are not permanent fixtures. But in the instances where the tires are deflated and the vehicle might otherwise qualify as a junk vehicle or as an abandoned vehicle or one that's not operating, there's a lot of ordinances that would address it because of the condition of the vehicle and not necessarily because of the signage.
Chief, how long does that be there before the door looks?
I did ask if that might have been a stolen vehicle in park there. He said, I don't know.
I don't think there's a time.
Oh, that's what I'm asking you.
Well, there was for like boats and things, wasn't there at one time, trailers? I heard
This is a commercial vehicle,
Yeah, it's commercial.
so plus it's parked the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. Another question I have, you just brought up boats. Do we allow boats to be on private property?
Temporarily. They can't be stored there for all winter.
They can't be stored there all summer. Okay, I'll keep you in contact.
Oh, yeah, wonderful neighbor.
Yeah, my wonderful neighbor.
The definitions and the findings and the purpose statements in the ordinance express the intent, and they're supposed to help the enforcement officers, the chief of police and the building commissioner, determine the meaning of the rest of the words that are used throughout. So there is a distinction in the purpose sections that discusses permanent signs and temporary signs. And so a sign that's on a truck or a trailer, a mounted sign, that is taking on the nature of being a permanent sign can probably be enforced against, and a violation notice can probably go out. Chief, do you have a copy of the new ordinance? I've been wanting to ask you that. Make sure the chief gets a copy. I assume you have one, or you need one. Okay, you should get one. And Chief, I'll request and invite you to give me a call after you get the list, and if you want to go through things, that'll be a good exercise for me as well as you.
I do just want to remind the public, as I'm giving my report here, we're not trying to prohibit all signs. We just want to keep our town a quaint town, not cluttered with all these kinds of signs. So there is a reason for this, and like you said, it's in the purpose. We don't have sidewalks, we don't have street lights. It's another couple items that we try to keep the same in the town. We don't put yellow stripes down the middle of our streets. So we're trying to keep the town quaint. We don't want to clutter it up with signs. Speaking of signs and truck signs, Steve did bring up at our meeting a related topic about, but I don't think we can enforce something like this. Steve, why don't you the truck sign for subcontract?
Yeah, just kind of brought up the fact that it'd be nice if the contractors that were working in the town had some sort of signage on their vehicles, whether it be a vinyl label done at a shop or a magnet, like the vehicle. Just kind of helps us keep track of
contractor who's actually doing work in the town.
So they are on the vehicles, or
I'm asking if we can request that an ordinance be placed to require them.
I'd have to look at that. We can certainly require people in that line of work to conduct themselves in a fashion that they identify themselves. And an easy way to do that is to have their vehicles labeled with their name or their company name and doing business as name. But as a general matter, I don't believe that we could require that, but I can look into that.
Okay, under old business, we discussed a couple of things like Mr. Coffee, that's been talked about. We did decide, we were thinking about making our swimming pool fences and or cover more restrictive than the state. But we felt that the state rules were pretty good, so we left that alone. And then, like I said, under old business, and I'm going to bring this up even though at the meeting it didn't sit well, the house with the rocks down by the stop 37, Ray, have you been down there?
Yes.
Well, I understand they put even more boulders in. They brought Vander, what's that, Vander Sloot or whatever it is? Who's that barge coming, they dredge channels?
The Docker Street.
Dog.
I haven't been to the beach in the last couple of days, but I was there last week, and it looked to me like they had moved some of the boulders closer to their property, but if they did anything within the last couple of days, I'm not aware of.
Well, I bring this up, and don't,
Go ahead. I got something to say after you go on.
there's supposedly a petition going around for some of our residents. And I don't know if they're going to present it to us. I mean, I would assume that they're more likely going to present it to the Michigan side since that's where the property is. Explain to us again, I know we have deeded rights. We don't own that property, though, right?
It's a dedicated lot to the owners of residents in Michiana Shores subdivisions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8 in Berrien County, Michigan, and LaPorte County, Indiana, that have that baby beach that's been dedicated to the residents. It's in court. I mean, it's been done through court. I have a copy of it, unless they've changed something, and I don't know how they can change something without having us involved in it.
Well, the issue, let me finish, Rick. I guess, you know how we've discussed this before with the beach rights, to be able to walk along private property. Nobody can walk along there anymore because they put these boulders there. Now, is that rule the same in Michigan? Do we know?
Generally, for what's referred to in Indiana as a walking easement, that is correct. That's generally the same rule in Michigan. Indiana has a wider use for the people that may go into that land area. Michigan is very limited or restricted to simply the purpose of walking through. So I suppose you could walk along the shoreline, you could stand still along the shoreline, but if you pitched a chair on the Michigan side, you might have a problem. On the Indiana side, the landowner that tried to throw you off would have a problem. And it's a very subtle difference, but that's a general description of what that difference is. But what I'm hearing is there's two different matters. One, that's the land right for the property owners in the Michiana Shores subdivision areas designated. That's akin to either an easement or a license, and that's a matter of plat recording. I think the only way that's going to be changed is through a judicial decision, because once it is granted, unless there's an expiration date on it, that should run in perpetuity, unless you go back to the original grant document. And if there's other language that changes the conditions or circumstances or triggers the removal of that, that should be, like I say, either an easement or a license. There's subtle differences between those two, and an effect on how they're lifted or removed or changed. And the other is just the, access to the waters.
Well, now you have to swim around this rock if you go from one side to the other.
If there's any
It's not the only one involved.
on the Indiana territory, then we can probably do something about that if they are in fact on the Michigan side, and unless they're interfering with that grant right away, then we might be able to look at that further and perhaps stay in that.
I talked to Tim Iverson 2 days ago. He called me back. I left him messages. He's the president of the Michiana Council. And I've been getting a lot of complaints from people about what you just discussed. Mr. Iverson told me that they got 1 or 2 sets of stairs in down there. I don't know if you get 38, 40 maybe, where you have access. You have to go down there if you want to access the beach. The 137, I was just there yesterday to look. They put a board across from the shack and a sign on it. There is no access to the beach there. They closed it, and they closed a couple of them, I guess. And they got the state's coming down this week, he told me, the BQ or whoever rules in their dunes, and they're going to inspect that house for the conditions in front of it. And some other access along the lake over there. And they have a meeting, they have a town meeting Friday night, and anyone that wants to go is welcome to call me. I'm passing on a message from him. If you want to hear the discussion on this, you can attend that meeting and ask all the questions you want. But they're limited access, and they can't modify those dunes. They can't cut a path down. Some of those are dropping 6, 8, 10 feet. But they're not allowed to modify that. That's the state has to do that. The town has no right at all to even touching. That's why they blocked the one at 37. And as far as the rocks and stuff in front of that house, the state's coming down and doing an inspection according to Mr. Iverson. So, if you have any questions, then you're welcome. He said you're welcome to walk down a few hundred feet to another stop where there's stairs. There's 1 or 2 places they got stairs in. You can go to the beach if you can find them. And yesterday was pretty rough, so even more beach got wiped out yesterday. So, yeah. But that was the deal. And like he reiterated to me, we really don't have any say in the matter, which I understood. So if you have a question or you want to bring it up, you need to go to their meeting and bring it up in front of their council. If they're addressing the issue the best they can, and they don't know how much more damage is going to be done, this lift level keeps coming up. So,
The question, John, when you mentioned Plat 1,
Yeah.
And are you talking about 37 or the Oak Beach Club?
No, I'm talking about 37.
Okay, are you saying that I thought in the past you said we had access to any of the Michiana?
No, I don't know if we had it for all of them. The only one I checked into was stock 37 because all the time I've been out here, they said Michiana Shores from stock 37. I don't know. This particular document says, that it's lot 1, block 1. Michiana subdivision number 1, New Buffalo Township, Barron Springs, and that's exactly where the bathing beach has been dedicated as a bathing beach. And it says, and they changed their original plot, but it says it is they altered the original plot, and the bathing beach be and hereby is dedicated to the use of owners of lots of Michiana Shores subdivisions number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8 in Barron County, Michigan, and LaPorte, Indiana, and to the owners of lots in any and all other subdivisions hereafter plotted by petitioner or its successors or assigned in the general vicinity thereof.
When I was getting quite a few phone calls about who can go to this beach down here and what's going on, and I did call Michiana, Michigan, and they said anybody's welcome to, of course, use the beach right there by us, but they can go all the way down to 41 if they can get the stairs to go down there. It's open to everybody. You know, it's not just, you know, we can't go with the line or anything.
There's just one or two places where there's steps now.
37 and a half has steps.
Right.
Metal steps. And then I didn't see any other steps except at 42. And 42 is the big beach.
Yeah.
What was a road?
Well, but there were steps.
Yeah.
Going down to,
They call it 45,
to the beach.
That's a pretty big area.
Yeah, it is.
There's plenty of room for anybody, but there's no place to park.
There's no place to park. You can drop people off.
Yeah, it's walking.
But why is there that why only the sub-area of Michiana Shores can go to the Oak and nobody else can go?
Because property owners years ago bought those deeds, bought those property, and they have deeds to it. It's deeded to the, what do they call it? Dunos. And I don't know if it goes with the property owners that have purchased property since then. I assume it does. Because, and that's a private beach, basically. And I don't know if they will let anybody else in on it or not.
I think it's a couple $100 that you have to pay car launch at beach club there.
Well, you probably do.
Yeah, I know it was quite a bit.
Okay, I'm sure there are people that go to the beach a lot willing to pay $200 to have access to that beach. But as far as I know, it's closed. Nobody else. It's not like a country club where you can join. Is that right?
I thought you could join, but I don't know that for a fact.
The joining of that club was limited to people living in areas of Michiana Shores.
Beyond the creek, we weren't allowed to buy over there. We were not allowed to go to that beach. We went because we knew Dolly Marshall. But we couldn't pay, but now the lady Kennedy's got into it. Don't ask me, because nobody else could get in when we were on the wrong side of the creek.
When we were looking for a house, some houses belonged to it and some houses didn't.
Right.
It wasn't something you could join because it wasn't open. It came with the houses. The houses were here.
Houses, one of the houses that they had to pay $1,200 for it.
Yeah, they must have to pay something for it. The only way you can find out if find out who owns that. It's somebody,
Well, I was told no, you know,
no, maybe years ago, but we don't know where it is now.
yeah, I mean,
And, you know, someone controls it. It's gotta have somebody's name on it. Then that's the person you have to contact to see if they would allow anybody in.
Well, there used to be on the gate to the beach.
Right, it used to say who was,
Yeah, who was and then,
yeah, that's where it was when I came up here.
well, the markers were Duncan's, you know, I don't know who else.
I don't know.
You were. I don't remember who else, but did you ever pay 200 a year?
Well, when that got to be that heavy, I couldn't.
No.
It wasn't worth that much to my son, right?
Okay, let's move on. Does anybody else have anything to add to what we've been talking about? No? Okay, yeah, BZA and White Ditch.
BZA, next meeting is May 15th. And as of right now, I don't know if anyone. I'm sorry. Not mine was in May.
That's so,
August 15th.
you made me feel good, right? You're in the league with me.
Hey, not enough Sundays.
Not enough Sundays, yeah.
So, and possibly this Christopher will be, it might be there. I don't know the way he was talking about it.
First.
Yeah, he does have to come to planning committee. Regarding White Ditch, I attended the LaPorte County Drainage Board meeting today. And I told them, for their information only, that we are aware of a tree down in our section of White Ditch that we are responsible for. But I also mentioned that today, when I was walking early in the morning, we saw this white foam in the ditch by the trees, which I had never seen before, and I didn't have rubber gloves, so I was gonna stick my hand in there to see what it is. The Port County surveyor said, you know, he'll check it out. It might be nothing, but you know, he's gonna take a look at it. Just for people's information, during the drainage board meeting, there are apparently areas in the Port County, because of the rains and all that, there are some areas that people can't use their toilets. Because of the septic system.
About 2 weeks ago, there was some DNR guys in the creek with nets and buckets and
Oh, is that right?
they were collecting some kind of creatures, I don't know what it was. They were on both sides of the bridge.
Well, I've seen one muskrat there. That's about it. And there are some areas in Port County that have a beaver problem, but that was under discussion at the meeting today.
Thank you. Diane, do you have-
Okay, just that, you know, I update the website every month, update, you know, the new dates, and if you put any kind of news, so now for the summer, I push things about fireworks and picking up after your pets, and, you know, being nice neighbors and things like that, so.
That's
And
nice.
I also put in the things about the, our boosters, yoga in Leeds Park, however, you know, it sort of started out a little stronger, sort of fell apart, we're gonna try to get it going, so, you know, but, other than that, nothing else for that.
Okay, thank you. We've talked about the resolutions and ordinances. Do you have more to add?
I have none for tonight's meeting, but there are several in the works, so
Okay.
be forewarned.
Excellent.
And next on the list is the grants for the White Ditch stabilization.
White ditch stabilization, we're still working on the RFP. It's not completed yet. And the White Ditch repairing quarter restoration. People contracted last month. There's a meeting scheduled at 1 o'clock Thursday. anybody's interested, the contractors will be here and explain some of the things that they will be doing.
What time on Thursday?
1 o'clock.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Gunning, do you have anything to?
I just want to hitchhike on Councilman Young's comment about the purpose and the goals of the sign ordinance. Since it is new and we're still getting reacquainted with this new document, which is quite lengthy in comparison to the prior code provisions, in the purpose statement, which is to give guidance to the enforcement officers, it declares purposes that include, I'm just going to read 4 of these. One is to protect property values within the town. D is to preserve the beauty and the natural environment and the characteristics and the unique character of the town, which I think Councilman Young was alluding to. E is to ensure that signage is compatible with the character of the community, which again refers specifically to the point you were making. And F, to improve the visual appearance of the town while providing for efficient means of communication consistent with the constitutional guarantee that we have to work under. And provide fair and consistent enforcement of sign regulations set forth herein. So I think, Chief, although you have the ability to remove most of those that have been noted, any that are creating a traffic hazard or distraction to drivers or any type of a hazard, you may remove those in the right of way. Any others that we may satisfy with the notice that I'll refer to as a due process notice, requesting they remove it, the request should indicate or risk being cited or have it removed if it's in the right of way. That would be consistent with, fair and consistent enforcement. So those that are a problem, you can and should remove immediately, but those that perhaps aren't, and certainly those that are not within the right of way, but in violation or arguably in violation, then maybe the notice would be the best way to proceed. I want to indicate the bill on the ordinance violation case that was approved this evening included all of last year. And to prepare ourselves to move forward with that case, we're going to have to submit all of the prior billings, and we should have the billings up to date. So at the end of the month now, I'm going to be turning in the first half of 2019, which will be substantially smaller than the last bill, specifically based upon the defendant's hiring of an attorney, his appearance early in the year, and the scheduling and reschedulings of the court appearances that were set, and all of which were just postponed or continued, will be reflected in that bill. And that's basically what I have to report tonight.
Is that court date still in there?
Right, but nothing has been set. I haven't heard anything, not surprisingly, from Attorney Alberts, but the implication was that now that he's been through hospitalization, that he's returning to work and picking up presumably on what he regards as higher priority cases, but we should be in line somewhere. I am working on, I'll go ahead and discuss this. I may have hinted to it previously. In the course of pre-litigation, there's an effort referred to by the lawyers as conducting discovery. Discovery includes various devices that can be used to ascertain facts. It can include issuing subpoenas to non-parties and third parties that may have data and or documents. It may include the equivalent of a subpoena in the form of a request for the production of documents and papers or records or things from the parties, the defendants. The defendant in this case, we have issued that and never received a response. There's a 30-day deadline on the response, and the trial rules provide that a party who's issued discovery requests which have not been responded to timely, or if we've gotten a response that is unresponsive or not in good faith, such as I believe we had with our interrogatories. We issued a substantial number of interrogatories, and most of the answers came back. This was before there was an attorney on the case, indicating a lack of memory, a lack of knowledge, and referring us to other potential sources. One of those other potential sources would be the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, which is a costly procedure that has to be followed. With the advent of identity theft, which mostly came along with the internet age, governments under federal and state law restrict access to what used to be public records that you could obtain by going down to the Department of Bureau of Motor Vehicles and asking for it, getting a copy over the counter. As a town, as a law enforcement agency, you can go through a specialized procedure where you have to prove that you're an entity that's exempted from the federal law and allowed to get those documents for a fee, so we have to pay all those fees associated with that. But I have accessed all those forms now and just about ready to get those filled out and filed. Because most of, maybe there's 2 or 3 of those interrogatories that were answered, the rest of them were not. I regard that as non-responsive. Under Trial Rule 26 of the Rules of Civil Procedure, we could file a request for sanctions against the party that has either failed to respond, such as with the request for production of documents, or was non-responsive in the answers to interrogatories. And the sanctions run the gambit. Usually it's attorney's fees that we would expect to recover if we're successful in the final outcome of the case. But there are other sanctions that can be imposed. But because attorneys were exercising the Trial Rule 26 option not in good faith, the judges wrote separate rules, county by county, most of which say that before you're allowed to file such a document with the court, you have to engage in good faith effort to have face-to-face meeting with the opposing party or the opposing attorney. So we have that ability now to pursue that with an opposing attorney. What I'm thinking about doing is drafting a motion which will inform the attorney exactly what our complaints are and what they're deficient in turning over, and file that as an informational document not to be activated until I've had that face-to-face meeting with the attorney. My suspicion is that whenever my contact with him occurs, if he doesn't contact me first, which I doubt, that he'll probably ask for a period of time for that phone conversation or that meeting, such as another 30 days on top of almost a year for at least the interrogatories that were otherwise non-responsive. I kind of held off on pursuing all of that for a variety of reasons, including building up the attorney's fees that are just keep accumulating in the meantime until we can get this, to its final decision.
Thank you.
In that other lawsuit court case that we almost had. Guy that built the house and then decided.
Yes.
And last I heard, and I hope you can answer this very quickly, they kind of never came back with any.
Right. There's been no activity, and I think at this point in time, there's no hope for them to revive it because of the statute of limitations that would be applicable to that.
I can't remember that resident's name. It started with Z, didn't it?
Zoltan? Yes, that was I didn't get the last question.
No, I couldn't even remember the guy's name.
Oh, okay.
I know it started with a Z.
Okay, next, does anybody have anything else they want to bring up?
I got questions.
Okay.
Number one, the refuse contract. We got 6 months to go, and 7 months maybe when it expires. We need to sit down with the refuse company and negotiate a new contract.
I think the council's approval of the request for proposals or request for bids was open-ended, so we can use that was previously approved for the ensuing period. So that would be a March date that we would have to meet.
For a new contract.
Correct. The present contract would expire in March, so we would want to be in advance of that.
Well, I don't want to wait till the end and give them the advantage of dictating to us, because we didn't come early enough to talk to them, and I think we should contact them now.
Union companies?
Yeah.
Well, the procedure requires that we issue notice of request for bids or request for specifications.
I say do it.
So we'd have to time that out so that we have a bid opening in sequence.
No. Post the ad. Let's get the process going.
The big truck's got a 10-day notice.
Pardon?
The big truck across the street from here just had a 10-day notice for them.
Why'd you do it that quick?
I'm good. Ain't seen me leave, did you?
I don't know if they're working at that house or if it just got left there. I don't know anything about it. Okay, so we posted an ad for this?
Yeah, we would have to calculate a date certain for the bids to arrive and for having a bid opening then and an action based on the bids that are turned in. I would think we would still actually want to wait a while on that, since we don't have to approve the bid specifications anew to just see what the conditions are going to be nationally, the price of oil, so on and so forth.
We got in trouble last year, and they're lucky that they were as kind as they were and granted us another year extension at the same price. They could have said otherwise and stuck us, and we'd have been in trouble. That's my concern. We wait and wait and wait. We don't do these things in a timely manner, and we get stuck. But that's why I'd like to have it started now. I don't know guys feel about it, but
When is the contract up?
pardon?
When is the contract?
March, I believe.
March 31st.
Oh, it is?
Well, we have a long time to wait.
Yeah.
And we,
I would wait till the summer myself. I wouldn't recommend anything sooner than that.
I brought it up, though, I want to post it all.
Are there any public comments?
Wait, I got something more, please. Don't I asked for some information last month, has there been any progress made on it?
It's not complete, but there's been progress made on it.
Okay, that was my answer to my question. Do you have any idea when I might be able to get it?
As soon as I get the bills paid for this month, then I'll have time to work on it.
Okay, thank you.
No public comments, okay.
I just wanted to ask about, in order to pave some streets, I was just going to request that maybe you could do Hiawatha. It hasn't, as far as I can remember, been done in the last 40 years. And on the corner of El Porto and Hiawatha, every winter, there's all these potholes that are ruining my tires. So I would love it if you would do our street, the short street, and then fill it.
This Hiawatha on your list. This Hiawatha on your list.
On the east side, I think you're referring to the east side.
The big holes.
And it's been on the list over the years, occasionally, but always removed because something else comes up that's more important.
Are we going to fill potholes too besides the paving program? Would you take a look at this, please? Okay.
There's also one at Birchwood and Dogwood that I had a complaint this week.
Birchwood and Dogwood's getting paid, so.
Yeah, that I suggested that it might be paid to them, it might be paid.
I don't think it ever be done, sure.
Did you guys ever, with the new water,
Never got the water, requested that at the Michigan City, when we changed to them. I didn't have any luck when it was Michigan, so I thought when we're in Michigan City, I would try them. And I spoke to somebody about it, and then I wrote a note, and I got kind of a note back, we heard you the first time. They didn't say that, but that's what they implied. So they want to hear from me again, so I kind of gave up on that. Everybody on that block has had to put in booster pumps and has replaced their own pipes because the pipe in the middle of the street is insufficient, but before I knew that, I had replaced the pipes. And my neighbor said to me, everybody else has put in a booster pipe, so pump. So if you want any water, people have to put one in too. But the plumber who put in the pipe from the street said the problem is not your pipes, it's the problem is the pipe that goes down the middle of the street is insufficient. He said it's just not a big pipe.
too much, but
Yeah, so he said it's never been sufficient for the job it's supposed to do. And so I thought it would be really good if the pipe could be fixed and then the street paved, but nothing's happened.
May I have your name for the record?
Corinne McGrail.
Thank you.
Chief, do you know if there's any water projects in town this year?
Not that up there, he said to me.
John, is that Randy guy still in charge of the water department?
Randy Russell.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't you see him anymore? We'll say put in a request, maybe.
Yeah.
You know. She's right. That was brought up to me 10 years ago at least.
Oh, 30?
Well, I wasn't there.
Well, it's been going a long time. We've been here 40 years.
In front of my house, there's a real small, when the water department came, they said my pipe need, people on the left, people on the right, all have big pipes and I have small pipes. But they never came out to do anything about it. They said they'd have to tear up the street.
Yeah, obviously, the water department.
That's why they were up.
You gotta call them again then. That's all.
Well, I had good water pressure. He was surprised. I had the pressure I had.
I don't take the blood pressure with the boosters on. We manage.
Okay, I had a couple of people who asked me to mention at our meeting, they complained that the meetings all take place on a Tuesday evening instead of on any other kind of day. They wondered if maybe a couple times a year the meeting could take place at another time and date so that people who are from out of town could come in, those who are working could come in to the meeting. So I said, okay, I will mention it at the meeting.
I had heard that complaint too. They were,
That would enable to accommodate everybody. Everybody wants to come on a different weekend.
Well, it's just, they didn't request a special weekend, they just requested a couple of meetings that would be held on a weekend day perhaps, you know, so that those who would find it hard to come after work, because they're the further away than perhaps they could have done during the weekend. So I just promised to bring it up.
Can I mention something? We have the website. We have the internet. They can access the internet. The meetings they're not cut or anything. They can go on the internet and view those at their leisure. And if they've got any questions or if they've got anything they want for fire council, all they have to do is put it in writing, send an email, and it'll be given to the council to discuss.
Then I will.
That would, rather than change everybody here, you know.
That's fine, I'm just saying, I'm just messing with you.
Right, I know, I heard that too.
And as a matter of fact, I think that's a great response that I could actually, you know, post for those who are asking questions.
Yeah.
We're going to put it on.
We like our weekends too.
But I would then like to ask, you know, another question, because I have had this asked of me, is when will we be able to post any minutes on the website so people can actually read the minutes? Because sometimes somebody just wants to read those as opposed to watching an hour and a half or 2 hours. So if we could get, you know, copies of that to put up, it would be great.
okay, does anybody else have any questions
We got a comment or two.
or comments?
The elections are coming up in November, correct?
Correct.
And as far as we know, the new petitions are available. When did they become available?
They are available now if you want to refer.
So, for the public,
Before July to sign off.
Before the 1st of
You
July.
have to go to the courthouse. if you-
by the 1st of July.
Before, yeah.
Well, this is for anybody who was watching this program. There are other
They're on the internet again. You can go on the internet.
Well, anybody who wants to run has to go to the courthouse by July 1st. You too.
And I want to clarify something. Something came up about private property in the garage. Bob, when Alex bought up private property in the garage, was he referring to what I talked to you about?
Yeah.
Well, that isn't private property. It is owned by the park board of the Park Booster Club.
I didn't think about, Bob asked me about it. That's why I
There's a
thought.
lot of stuff in there that is
Other
park
private,
stuff.
somebody else has got private stuff in there too.
Well, we're not supposed to have stuff in there. Private people.
This was just from this last weekend.
It's not private.
Someone donated it.
Town Booster Club and the town park.
Town Parker.
It was donated to the town,
Yeah.
and so,
Dunnigan, that was the family, I'm sorry.
yeah, Dunnigan's.
That's all I have.
All right,
Remember, we've been celebrating the 75th anniversary of D-Day. I have been to all those places at one time, actually twice. It's a very, very moving place, especially the American Cemetery at Colville, where thousands of Americans are buried. I remember celebrating the 50th anniversary of the German surrender at France. my two brothers-in-law, American brothers-in-law, who fought in World War II. It was a really nice affair. And we had a great dinner in the champagne cellars of Fleuve Clicquot, and champagne was served to us in the magnum because it's supposed to be where the champagne tastes best. I wish I could have gone to this celebration this year, but
There's something to look forward to.
at any rate, it is really something. If you ever get a chance to go there, let me tell you, it's really something.
Okay, well, if there's nothing else that needs to be brought up, anybody? No?
Good job.
Then meeting